Hi Sagittarius, here is a general look at your solar chart for September 2016. Now this is an interesting month, and that might be a bit of an understatement because it could kick off a different sort of cycle. There are some moves happening astrologically. There's going to be two eclipses, both in important areas for your sign, in other mutable signs, Virgo and Pisces, and of course your sign is a mutable sign along with Gemini. And then we're going to get your ruling planet moving from Virgo into Libra and putting it into a much more optimistic angle, or an angle of more flow anyway, to your sun sign. So I'm just going to cover a little bit about the solar eclipse here. That's happening on September the 1st. By the way, the lunar eclipse is happening on September the 16th in Pisces. The lunar eclipse is happening in Virgo. And for those of you born in the last few days of the month, that's to say November, and the first few days of December, maybe in the last week of the month or the first week of the next month, November or December, or with, say, 5 to 14, 4 to 14 degrees rising, 4 to 15 degrees rising. Going to feel the energy of the eclipse the most, but that's just speaking about your sun. Of course, you could have an important point in your natal chart, or the sun, progressed sun, or there can be other things going on, but we're just talking here about the sun sign. So on September the 1st is going to be this solar eclipse. Now eclipse energy is about, really it's about culmination, and then once something has come to a head, or come to a resolution of sorts, then there is a forward moving feeling with it, because once that step's achieved, the next steps can be taken. And so this is a time of new beginnings in a way, related to your career, your outer image, your responsibilities in the world, and or your general direction in life, according to how strongly that eclipse wave affects your basic natal chart. Now eclipse energies are interesting because even though they go off on a certain day of the year, then they unfurl and unfold over about the next 6 months. In some cases it can be a lot longer, but just in a general sense, over the next 6 months until the next solar eclipse happens. It's a gear change. It's almost like the gear goes into neutral, and then we get to choose what we want to do with this energy of change, because that feeling of moving forwards happens. This particular eclipse has some flies in the ointment, because on the day of the eclipse, the sun and the moon are opposing Neptune, which brings in kind of a foggy, confusing energy. It's an unreliable, uncertain energy, and at the same time the sun and the moon are at right angles to Mars and Saturn, and they are both in your sign at the time of the eclipse, and that is tricky. Now, having said that, you will have Mars and Saturn in your sign at the time of the eclipse, and also there is another lesser aspect going on between Mercury and Jupiter. Mercury and Jupiter will be together at the time of the eclipse, so all of those energies, Neptune, Mars, Saturn, Mercury, Jupiter, and then the North Node is in there as well, it's going to be sort of linked in and woven in to this pure eclipse energy and push through the next 6 months. So for you, it's going to be right at the top of your chart, and it will be a great time to cautiously drive forward with plans, ambitions, and also internally it's a time for you to question whose standards are you aspiring to, What responsibilities are you taking on? Did you choose this, or is it to feed somebody else's ego? What are you identifying with? And also in the outer world, what's going on in the outer world? What is it that you resonate with, and what is it that you most certainly don't, and you don't want to really be wasting your time on? Okay, so this cycle will have this Neptunian feeling with it. Now, Neptune is at the time of the eclipse, and for many years actually, Neptune is at the root of your chart, meaning that there will be some sacrifice related to foundations, maybe the family members, maybe the home base. Because it is such a long transit of Neptune anyway, there could be a number of things that come up in that kind of aspect of things. Your private life, your family connections, the past coming into the present and being more relevant in the present, traditions, but also property matters, location, geographical place on the map as well. And so on the day of the eclipse, this Neptune position gets whipped up into this eclipse energy and then goes with the wave through the coming 6 months. And Mars and Saturn in Sagittarius, well, that can cause a kind of a tension energy, that can cause a conflicting energy. It doesn't necessarily mean lack of success, but it means that obstacles have to be surmounted to get there. And also it might be a feeling of who is reliable, who can be trusted, or a feeling that we know that something is working against us, but we don't quite know what it is. Now, that might not be connected to you. That might be across the wider stage. If I get time, I'll try and make a video about how this eclipse time in September might be affecting us from those in authority on the higher echelons, those sort of so-called more powerful people in society who aren't privy to this information about these very kind of dodgy weather systems coming through. This particular one, the Saturn-Neptune one, has been around for a while. I made a video about that last month, and I think the month before as well I made a bit of a statement about that, saying that it was a confusing, unreliable energy around, which meant that in the human race, the response to that would be a fearfulness, or almost like a paranoia, or getting involved with dubious people or dubious schemes, or not knowing who to believe and not knowing who to follow, whose ideas to follow. And I said that that was maybe not the best energy configuration under which to make an important decision like voting on the EU in the UK, or indeed in the States with their their general election there for a new president. Because these two together seem to deny clarity for some reason or other in us, from where we are in our consciousness now. Now the planets themselves don't have opinions and are completely, they have strong attitudes, but they're kind of neutral energies, really. We can take the upside of them or the downside of them. So why not look for the upside? So you will have Mars detonating this one. It's the Mars trigger on Saturn across to Neptune at the time of the eclipse on the 1st of September. Well, Mars is going to be in your sign until the 27th, excuse me, and it's the last time this year. It's been a lot in your sign this year, actually. It's been bobbing between the sign before yours, Scorpio, and your sign. And this means this is a time when you really feel that the ball's rolling, you get more decisive about things, you want to take action. So that will help you with your clarity, although you have to be careful about taking hasty steps related to family or property, place on the map, that kind of thing. But it is time to get the ball rolling, is to be more in the mood to initiate, and also if you're not more in the mood to initiate, then trying to keep up with what's going on, whether you choosing it or not, because there will be more hustle and bustle around you. But others will tend to look to you for leadership in some way, and you will have to be working a little bit harder. And Mars does tend to boost vitality, but you need to pace yourself with it as well, because we also have Saturn in there. In fact, with Mars and Saturn, from the point of view of the eclipse, it means like a disciplined march forward, perhaps even over the 6 months, on something that the jury's still out on. You haven't got absolute certainty about, but you've got fingers crossed, you see. So it might be turning out like that. For some of you, you might not be feeling this very strongly at all. It might be something you are evidencing around you at a distance, or even indirectly with people you know, but maybe none of your degrees are corresponding with the degrees of the eclipse itself, or the planets in the eclipse. So this is the time definitely not to be procrastinating anymore, or if you have been, but just getting on with things, feeling that quite Martian male energy around maybe, and once you've thought something through, get on with it. But that's the key, thinking something through and then seeing how you can just get your head down and go forwards on this thing, because it's like you haven't got there yet, but you will be getting there over this coming 6 months. I keep looking over there because there's a huge insect flying around. I'm just wondering if he's going to come over this way. In fact, I would like to let him out of the window, which I'll do in a few minutes. Okay, so and it's about, you know, this energy for us all, who to trust, who to follow, whose ideas to take on board, etc., etc. So this is just for your information. Mercury Jupiter, though, is a very positive energy on the day of the eclipse, which will also get pushed through along with the eclipse energy over the next 6 months. And this is about changes, positive changes in your area of career and your general life direction, and you'll find your goals and schemes are being validated or not by what's going on the wider stage. But you'll be putting more mental effort into maybe correspondence, maybe paperwork, maybe just making yourself understood in the way you want to be understood, so as to get the result that you desire. Now, vehicles, travel, transport, communications equipment could also be related to this area here of career and being more important. Now, Mercury is going to be retrograde until the 22nd, so there can be some delays and hold-ups, and that can you know, make you feel frustrated at times, and it can be a little bit of a hassle trying to you know, waiting around for somebody or something. Some people seem to be more affected by this Mercury retrograde thing than others, I have to say. Now, until the 24th, Venus is warming up group relations, networking, group gatherings, team efforts. They can feel more supportive and very beneficial, and also others could be looking to you more for your support and for you to be there in practical sorts of ways, but keep a flexible, experimental attitude during this time. And then from the 24th, Venus moves, and then you are maybe teaming up with somebody in a small bubble together, or working more in the background, or pulling the strings in the background, keeping things more to yourself though, not feeling as though you can let go of your feelings in the way that you would normally. Mars moves on the 27th into the area of property, money, any assets, and income, and effort going in there, maybe to do with stuff, protecting it, maintaining it, repairing it, getting rid of it, or getting your hands on more. And then Jupiter, I mentioned before, has been in your area of career, opening new doors there. If you were born late Sagittarius, then you will probably only just be getting the feeling of this energy. But this means more doors potentially opening to you, and you've got to filter it, and you've got to separate the wheat from the chaff. You've got to figure out which door you're going to go through, or maybe because you are a mutable sign and you like variety, which couple of doors or 3 doors you want to go through, bobbing around there. But by the end of this transit, you should be more certain about it. So if you are in late Sagittarius, then you're just getting the gist of this now, and it's more likely you could gain more recognition and be learning new things professionally. So there's a bit of a learning curve going on there professionally. Maybe it's quietly within yourself, or maybe it's sort of a formal education, and you will get a clear idea about your general direction. And you Sagittarians born from the 17th or from 27 degrees rising, going to feel that energy the most, but those of you born just a few days before will be feeling it pretty strongly as well. In fact, if you're listening to this in August, you will be earlier. And then from the 9th, Jupiter comes into Libra, which is in a fortunate angle to your sun sign Sagittarius, and in residence there until October 2016. Jupiter will help you to grow and learn through new associations and friendships, getting in with a group or a collective of others, or a club who have interests or a situation in common. New friends, colleagues, or those with a shared aim or interest will show you a new angle or expand your world over this phase. And equally, you could be viewed as the enabler or guide, who's the interesting one coming along. So you could be making new friends, definitely, or cultivating new contacts, and you could be doing well with that. Sagittarians born in the first days of the sign, or with up to 6 degrees rising, going to feel that energy the most. And also, over and above that, this is a super time for progress, a real time for finally getting the feeling of being able to move forwards with things. Now, we are going to be undergoing this eclipse energy for a little while, which I think means that there could be quite a lot going on out there, and might make us sort of hold our breath sometimes in the movers and shakers of this world, people who make decisions. But just this position here for you, and with Mercury conjuncting Jupiter on the eclipse day, is a good sign for you. And also Neptune's in your home area, as I already mentioned, and so you have to be a bit more selfless regarding family or property matters. But you have to try to learn not to sacrifice totally your own preferences and your own style. You've got to tread that fine line to try and get the balance right. You Sagittarians born the 30th of November to the 3rd of December, with 9 to 12 degrees rising, going to feel that energy the most. And for Saturn, you Sagittarians born very, very much the same, the 30th of November to the 3rd of December, or with 9 to 12 degrees rising, going to feel that energy, because that's how close Saturn and Neptune are at the moment. And that's it. Oh yeah, and from the 23rd, the Sun is moving into a really progressive, faster moving, more sociable area for you. And things that you've been waiting to get on with, you will be able to get on with. And what is it? Go forth and multiply. Go forth and experience. And that's it. If you know your rising sign, your moon sign, listen to those, and also this material's written up on my website, DianaGarland.com, and I'll see you the next time.